it has come to my attention that there is indeed a lot of Switch games, and the Switch is home to many JRPGs and RPGs. So in this video, I'm going to share with you guys 7 RPGs/JRPGs that are a must-have for your Nintendo Switch. Now, I did make a video like this before, but there's a lot of games that I didn't put, and also there's a lot of new games that just got released for the Switch, so I thought a video like this was more than due. Now, before we start the video, if you like it or end up liking it, please hit that like button. It helps a lot. And if you're interested in a lot of RPG/JRPG content, then please consider subscribing. I'm trying to get my way to 8K. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, the first game on this list is honestly a game that I didn't add in my first list, but now it's gonna make this list. And that is Atelier Ryza, Ever Darkness and the Secret Hideout. Now, this game was my first introduction into the Atelier series, and it got me hooked ever since then. Now, Ryza is a bit different because the whole trilogy is focused on her, where in other Atelier games, it focuses on a different person. But throughout all the 3 games, you see Ryza and her friend group really grow and come into their own. Now, with the first game, it's more of a coming-of-age story where Ryza and the gang want to go on adventures for the summer, and they just want to experience new things. Now, one of these new things is alchemy. Ryza learns alchemy for the first time, and she loves it. And honestly, I love it too. The alchemy system is one of my favorite parts. This system encourages gathering different resources, crafting, and experimenting with different ingredients to create powerful items for Ryza and her friends. The alchemy system in this game is actually very easy, especially compared to the earlier Atelier games. There's a lot you could do with alchemy, and again, it's personally my favorite part of any Atelier game. Now, for the gameplay, the best way I could explain it is it's not a traditional turn-based, but it's not a traditional action-based, kind of a mix of both. And it's really fun experimenting with different combos and using the items that you synthesize in these battles. Now, with the upcoming Atelier Museum, a lot of people are interested in the series, and a lot of people ask me, hey, what's the first game you should start with? I would definitely say Atelier Ryza, Ever Darkness and the Secret Hideout. Why? It's because it was my first foray into the series. The synthesizing is simpler than ever, the gameplay is fun and flashy, and the story is like your typical Atelier story, but it's a little bit more deeper because it spans over 3 different games. So without a doubt, Atelier, Ever Darkness and the Secret Hideout is the perfect intro to the Atelier series, and also all the previous Atelier games are available on the Nintendo eShop, so those are easy to pick up and play if you want to play them. Alrighty, the second game on this list is Shin Megami Tensei Vengeance. Now, I debated on whether to put this game mostly because I hate definitive editions nowadays, and I hope Atlas really stops that because it's really annoying. Now, Shin Megami Tensei games are mainly a post-apocalyptic JRPG experience where the divine and the demon come and clash. And of course, our protagonist is right in the middle of all that. And to make your way through this desolate, deadly place with a whole bunch of demons around, you have to put your negotiation skills to the test. Shin Megami Tensei is a lot like Pokemon, but instead of throwing your Pokeball, you have to negotiate with these demons. And honestly, it could be really frustrating or really funny. Now, in Shin Megami Tensei 5, the negotiating is a little bit simpler than in older SMT games, and it's a bit more forgiving, but you can still get duped really bad. I know from experience. Oh, and there's also a function where you could combine different demons to make a new demon, so you don't always have to rely on the negotiation system. But the demons are not the only ones doing the fighting, because you as a protagonist are blessed with the powers of a Nahubino, which is basically a demon with a human mixed together, and that gives you a lot of different attacks that you could use. Now, the gist of the gameplay is it's a turn-based combat system. It does use the press turn combat, which is basically if you go for a demon's weak spot, you could actually gain another turn, but your enemies could do the same. So a lot of this game is looking at your enemies' weaknesses and exploiting that. Now, the story is one of the aspects that they changed from the original Shin Megami Tensei 5, and honestly, they made it a bit better. There's new characters, and they flesh out the characters a bit more, because I'm not lying when I tell you I've only seen a character once in the original game, and they were so crucial to the end game, and I was like, who are you? Now, the Shin Megami Tensei series are not really known for their character driven stories. They're often known for their philosophical views on law and chaos and which one's right. So all in all, the story is not going to be the best, but I do feel like Vengeance did really improve all the story plots from the original and added their unique takes on it. Overall, I feel like SMT5 is great and it's a must play on your Switch, and it's all wrapped together in the definitive version of Vengeance. Hopefully Atlas stops doing this thing. I don't want to hear a metaphor re-fantasio re-fantasio. Alright, enough with all these demons and stuff. Our next pick is a very light-hearted, fun experience, and that is for Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I love this game so much, and it's one of my favorite Mario RPG. And this is not a dig at Super Mario RPG or Brothership, which are amazing games. I just feel like The Thousand-Year Door is so much better. Now, I'm going to be talking mostly about the remake and not the GameCube version. The GameCube version is still really good. Now, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is the second game in the Paper Mario series, and when I say it peaked at The Thousand-Year Door, I am not lying. It is a lot of people's favorite, including mine. It's funny because back then I always thought it was overrated, but now I think it's the best thing ever. Funny how things change. Anyways, this beloved entry in the Paper Mario series returns with modern enhancements while retaining its charming, humorous, and highly creative approach to storytelling. This game is just downright fun. It's like an encapsulation of what a fun game should be. Now, a big portion of why this game is so good has to be because of the gameplay. Instead of battling in like a normal battle screen for turn-based games, instead you're on a stage and you do have a crowd of people. Now, me being a big Broadway nerd, I really like this approach because not only do you have to beat the boss or beat the enemies, you also have to make sure the audience is entertained, and if they're not entertained, they'll throw rocks at you and other things. Not only that, the stage itself is kind of hazardous. The lights will fall or something catches on fire, so you really want to keep in mind these aspects. And plus, you have your partner who also battles with you, and they have a different attack depending who they are. And trust me when I tell you, a lot of this game is made easier if you get your timings down. Now, on the outside, you have different partners, not only unique and fun as a character, but also very crucial to the story and navigating the world. Now, as for the story, it's nothing too big. It's not a traditional Bowser kidnaps Peach, but there is something about Peach being kidnapped by other people. So your objective is to get all the stars to open the Thousand-Year Door and see what treasures lie ahead. Now, this is a remake, so of course it has a lot of quality of life changes. Number one, and the biggest, is the graphics had a huge overhaul. While the graphics in the GameCube version weren't bad, I really like the newer remake versions because it just looks so clean. And there's also improvements on traversing. One of them is quick travel in the Rogue Port series, which reduces the backtracking. This game has that whimsical, fun vibes through it from start to finish, and I highly recommend anyone who hasn't played it, please play it. I'm kind of jealous of you guys because I wish I could unplay it to play it for the first time again. Now, if you're looking for a more serious gameplay experience, then the next game will probably be for you, and that is for Unicorn Overlord. Now, Unicorn Overload is a new IP developed by Vanillaware and published by Atlas. Now, Vanillaware are the masterminds that gave us 13 Sentinels and Odin's Spear, and plus many more. They are mostly known for their graphical style. The characters have a very soft appearance and they look really pretty. Now, Unicorn Overload is kind of a departure for Vanillaware. The game brings together the best elements of high fantasy RPGs with strategic tactical battles. Now, for the gameplay mechanics, there's a lot that goes down in Unicorn Overload. Honestly, this game is the most strategic tactical game I've played in a while. There's a lot that goes into the gameplay mechanics, and there's a lot of micromanaging. Also, there's a lot of customization when it comes to your unit. So basically how the units are is, in Fire Emblem, you mainly have one unit going to the enemy and they fight. In Unicorn Overload, you have a group of units that are comprised of 3 to 4 members, and as a unit you guys move to the enemies, and depending on what your units have and what classes they are really dictates the flow of battle. And you really have to strategize not only what classes to put, but also where to put them on the grid as well. Like I said, this game has a lot of mechanics and it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially in the beginning when they throw a whole bunch of tutorials at you, but once you get it down, it is really fun. Now, the one thing that that was sorely lacking in this game was a unique story. The story plays it safe most of the time. There wasn't really anything crazy. I don't know why they played it so safe. These are the people who bring you 13 Sentinels each turn. That story was freaking crazy. And then you go to Unicorn Overload and it's just like boring in comparison. But again, the story is still solid. While it might not be a very beginner friendly kind of JRPG, it is still really fun. And if you like Fire Emblem, you'll probably like Unicorn Overload. And plus, it's a new IP. We don't get many new IPs these days, so we really gotta, you know, cheer on the new ones. Hey guys, Editing Mandy here, and I just want to say I'm not the only one who really loves Unicorn Overload because it is being nominated for Best Sim/Strategy Game at the Game Awards, so that's pretty cool. So we've talked about many games that have a mid-story. The next pick on this list has a fantastic story, and that is for Nier Automata, one of my favorite games of all time. Top 5 in my list. Now, Nier Automata's story is very impactful, especially for me. When I finished playing it the first time, I was crying those ugly cries, and I was in a bit of a gaming depression after. I can't really pinpoint what really got me because the story tackles a lot of themes like humanity, consciousness, what's it like to be human, and the existential crisis of existing. I like to say it's a philosophical wet dream made into a game, and it works so well to convey to you this very flawed and beautiful story. Now, the gameplay itself is a very high-paced hack and slash game where you have your protagonist that could do a myriad of skills because they're not human, they're an android. And this game does this thing where it changes gameplay mechanic. Like, it could be a hack and slash at one point and then it turns into a bullet hell to some kind of 2D variation, but a majority of the gameplay is literally hack and slash fun. Alright, now for the most controversial part, and that is the ending. While yes, you do have to replay the game at least twice, they're both a little bit different and the playthroughs are not even that long. And plus, you get android booty. I guess that's a plus. Time for a more newer game on this list, and that is with X Nordics. So chronologically, X takes place really early on in Idol's adventures, and Idol is much younger than in Ys 8 or Ys 9, which is the most recent one in the timeline. Now, as the name implies, this game is heavily influenced by Nordic mythology. To what extent, I do not know because I haven't finished the game, but there's a lot of Norse vibes going on. Now, the combat in the Ys games don't really change, and that includes Ys 10, but I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Some things are good just the way they are. The combat remains fast-paced and skill-based, rewarding precise dodges and counters. One of the main things in this game is you have a partner who is literally bound to you because of the story, but she does play a role in the gameplay. Now, your partner is Karaja, which I probably mispronounced that name, but together you form a unison that comes in handy in battles. And you guys work together to defeat the different demons who took over the gold. Now, this game takes place on a chain of various islands. So to traverse this, we have boat mechanics. You could control your ship, which you could upgrade throughout your journey to make it bigger, badder, faster, stronger. Now, the boat mechanics are okay. It could have been worse. This game does run at a stable FPS on the Switch. That's why I recommend it. And it's honestly such a fun Ys game. And I've been loving what I've been playing so far, so I feel safe in recommending this game. And of course, I highly recommend Ys 8 as well. Can't really say that for 9, unfortunately. Alrighty, now on to the last game, and that is Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. Now, this game just came out, but I feel really strong in recommending this to you because I've been hearing nothing but great things. Even though it says Dragon Quest III, it feels like you're playing the first game in the Dragon Quest series because 3 is a prequel. This remake is lovingly made in the HD 2D graphics, so it looks really pretty. Now, Dragon Quest III is one of those classical games, and as the protagonist, you are the young hero who is the daughter or son of Ortega, who was the other mystical warrior who died in battle. So you got really big shoes to fill, but fill them you will, because the evil demon that your father couldn't kill is still on the loose, and it's up to you to take care of it. And this remake stays really true to the original core gameplay and storytelling, but modernizing certain mechanics to make it a bit more fun and bearable. Now, party customization remains a key highlight. You can recruit different companions from different classes, which adds a lot of team building and encouragement on experimentation experimentation. So yeah, this game offers a lot of nostalgia for people who played the game and for a lot of newbies like me to play the game for the first time. Alrighty, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please tell me what Switch RPGs you recommend, not only for me, but for the people in the comments down below as well. Please hit that like button if you like, and if you like my content, I would love to see more, then consider subscribing. I'm on my way to 8K, and I would like to get there by the end of the year, hopefully. You can follow me on my socials, and I do have a Blue Sky, so if you have a Blue Sky, you can find me at Mandyleeplays. So without further ado, I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and as always, play a good game. Peace, peace.